Hello and welcome to the Smidgen PC video review of the Silverstone SG02F small form factor case. This case is a micro ATX case, also can fit of course smaller motherboards, and it is mainly targeted towards home theater PCs and just people who want a small computer in general. So this is an entry-level product. Most places you're going to find it for $70 around there. That's online or in stores. I did get this one at Fry's, so you can expect that if you find it in a retail location, it's probably going to be about that price as well. So with the size and price considered, let's see how it stacks up against some other competitors. So first, let's take a look at the outside of the case and just judge how it looks and how it feels. I think it's a very good looking case because it has a piano black finish here on the front. The white version I think doesn't look quite as good. You don't get as much of the gloss from it, but this black version looks very nice, especially for a case of this price range. You can tell, of course, that it has two 5.25-inch drive bays. One of which can be converted to a floppy or otherwise a 3.5-inch drive bay, which is pretty standard for a case of this size, nothing exceptional. It has a flip-down cover here, which shows your USB ports, your headphones, your FireWire. When it's turned on, there are indicators here which show that is turned on, and it has the hard drive activity. They are too bright, and they really should be toned down. It makes it distracting when you use this as a home theater PC. Now, it looks great as far as the feel goes. It's a little bit less than the looks, really. Nothing too bad for a case of this price range, but the plastics do feel kind of cheap, and the metal of the case is certainly quite thin, which I will show a little bit additionally here once I take it apart. So we're going to start to look at the internals of the case. First, like I had said, I just want to show you the top of it once it's off. I think you can see that the sides sort of just lean a little bit on their own accord. It is basically pretty flimsy. I would have liked to see a little bit higher quality metal steel used there, but it is excusable for a case of this price range. Now would be a good time to talk about the cooling, because this here is basically like a cooling rig, you could say. This is detachable by the screws here, and here, and you actually need to do that to get the motherboard in, really. As you can see, two fan mounts here, 80mm fans. There's also another 80mm fan over here for the hard drives. And that's pretty much it as far as the fans go, and I don't really like that. Because the 80mm fans are just very noisy. They have to spin quickly to get good airflow, so that creates a lot of noise. Also, another thing about the cooling in this case that makes it quite noisy is that there are a lot of vents everywhere, basically. When you have the case on, there's vents here, vents on the other side. I'm going to take you around the back here, and we'll see vents pretty much everywhere there. And yes, the cooling is quite good on this case as far as actually keeping it cool. The processor I had in here is an Athlon X2 6000, and it's running at below 40 degrees Celsius even at load, so that's good. But I think they could have perhaps found some way to put in a bigger fan somewhere, because this is quite noisy when you are running it at full load. So now we're going to look at the internals of the SG02. As you can see, there is a lot of wires being cluttered up here. It's a small case. There's very little place to put wires. I don't run any 5.25-inch drives in the computer I've built in this, but if I did, I'd have almost no room to put wires. So perhaps they could have worked on that a little bit, maybe put some holsters on the top of the cover here or something like that. They do give you a little clip here for the the wires for the power button, USB ports, and all that. So that's okay. The power supply is located right here on the top. That is fine, really. The only problem is that it gives you very little clearance on your processor cooler, which I'll show you here. This is not a large cooler, but there's basically a 1/4 inch of room between the top of it and the bottom of the power supply. So, in other words, if you have something that's larger than a stock cooler, it's probably not going to work very well with this case. What is very roomy is the video card section. Location here, we have a 3850. This is an overclocked version, which is why it has a dual slot cooler. It's not a small card. It's a tiny bit smaller than the Radeon, the 4870 that I have in my main PC, and as you can see, it fits just fine. So theoretically, you could actually make a nice little LAN system with this. The only problem would be keeping the processor cool if you were trying to overclock it or something of that nature. I also really like the hard drive bay. It's going to be kind of hard to see it well with all the wires which are in the way. But all you need to do to install hard drives in this case is unscrew 2 screws here. A little sled comes out, you screw the hard drive to that, put it back in, put the 2 screws back in, and that's it. You have 2 hard drive bays here, so this case, while it will work for a home theater PC, a LAN PC, or otherwise it's a small family computer, it's not going to work as a file server. So overall, I do think the Silverstone SG02 is a good case. It is small, and so it's cramped, but that's something you're going to run into when you see any case of this size. The main complaint against it is the cooling. I would have liked to have seen either a 120mm fan mount or less vents, because really it's kind of overkill. For running a regular PC or home theater PC, you don't need as many vents as this has. And because it has so many areas where air goes through it, it's quite loud. There's very little sound dampening. That's a problem if you're using it for a home theater PC. If you have an Xbox 360 and you're trying to watch movies on it and you just think, damn, it's too loud, I can't deal with it, don't buy this case. It's going to be too loud for you, especially if you use more than just the 80mm hard drive fan that's included. I don't use more than that, and it's still quite loud. Otherwise, though, it's very well laid out. Video card, lots of room. Power supply, not too cramped. The only thing that's really cramped is the processor. The hard drives, very easy to install. That's a big plus. So I think the layout of it is overall quite good. So if you were going to use this for just a basic, everyday use home computer, if you wanted to use it for sort of an entry-level gaming computer, also could do that. Considering that it's $70, I think it's got a lot of its competitors beat. I was looking at some things from Antec, and I was also looking at some Braid Max cases that were around this price range. Actually, they were generally $20 or $30 more expensive, and they didn't seem to have quite the same, quite as good of a layout, and even the build quality was not really any better. So overall, I do recommend this case. Just keep in mind it is loud, so if you're building a home theater PC, watch out for that if noise is a major concern for you.